Feeling all right? Good, good, good. It's so great. You know, I was just talking to somebody before the service about the community, the sort of sense of belonging that you get when you walk in the door here. And you know, some Sundays I don't want to be here. I don't know about you, but I just want to stay in bed, you know, and like have an extra cup of coffee and do nothing. And then I walk in the door and go, oh yeah, that's why I'm here. It's because all of you. It just feels good. It does. We get together and we feel all right, and it's a wonderful thing. So. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Reverend C.C. Coltrane, and I just want to welcome you all to Center for Spiritual Living Greater Dayton. If this is your first time here, thanks for spending your morning with us. We here at Center for Spiritual Living have a mission, and that mission is to be a community of love. And that community of love supports all of us in transforming, in experiencing real transformation in our lives, and becoming more love. And so welcome to it. We're glad you're here. If you're new or your contact information has changed at all, if you'll just fill out that little tear-off strip on the bulletin cover, drop it at the Welcome Center or in the offering basket as it goes around, we would very much appreciate it. We'd like to stay in touch with you. We don't pester you or sell your email or lend it to anyone. We will simply send you a thank you for being here and put you on our Wednesday morning Spiritual Pick-Me-Up mailing list. And if you don't want it, there's an easy unsubscribe link, but it might help you get through the week. This morning, Linda Smith will be giving our reading and invocation, and our vigil holder is Jerry Blumgold. And Lenza and Linda Andriaco will offer our interfaith candle lighting, which is just there to remind us that there are many, many, many sources of wisdom, and that all paths lead back to the source, no matter what they look like. And the kids today are with Mr. Mark. We may not have any kids today. I guess you get to stay here with us today. After Stephanie went through...
Oh, that was fun when she did.
Went through heck.
And the kid. Feathers. What you're thankful for on the feathers, I'll put them up.
Okay, so here's the deal. She really pulled her hair out to create this turkey named Fenwick. If you don't know, that's an inside joke because Fenwick Holmes was our founder, Ernest Holmes' brother. So we have this turkey named Fenwick, and the kids were supposed to write what they were grateful for on the tail feathers, and then they were going to be put on the turkey. So guess what? It's our job to fill in the turkey feathers, the tail feathers. So they'll be in the social hall. Stop by, write what you're most grateful for on one of the feathers, and let's make Fenwick.
We don't want to be naked.
Yeah, he's kind of front heavy right now. We need to balance him out with the gratitude in the tail. So let's finish up Fenwick, the grateful turkey. A couple of quick announcements. Yeah, exactly. All the turkeys I know are grateful that they don't have to come to my house because we're having mushrooms instead. There's an invitation in your bulletin today to join me on November 28th, which is a Wednesday night, for a new Wednesday night service. It's kind of to help us all see the bigger picture and move us into seeing the seemingly crazy parts of things of life coming together in new ways. I don't know about you, but it feels a little... Remember in 2012 when the world was supposed to end, and of course it didn't because that's not what the Mayans meant. But everything felt like the ground was moving under your feet. It feels that way again. It's like the ground is moving under our feet. And so we want to envision it in a new way and be part of that new way. And so that's what the Wednesday night service is all about. We're going to be discussing and practicing together some new ways of seeing. So I hope you'll be there. And then 2 days later, on Friday, November 30th, thank you, we're going to make the place pretty for the holidays. So join us for a little casual potluck, and we'll put up stuff to make the place look like the holidays. And then after service on December 9th, we'll have our holiday celebration meal. So I hope you will stay for that. be sure to take a look at the calendar page on your bulletin insert for everything that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. We will have a Christmas Eve candle lighting service on the 24th this year, and we will have the World Peace Meditation at 7 a.m. on the 31st. And then in between those two, Stephanie is giving the last message of the year, and she promises it will be an illuminating service. So I bought her flash paper, so look out. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Kenny says it takes one to know one. Yeah, I've singed the ceiling. I've singed all the hair off my face. It's always a good time around here when we play with flash paper. So don't miss it. What?
As long as the insurance is paid up.
As long as the insurance is paid up, yeah. Kenny won't let me play with fire very much anymore. So anyway, the last thing I want to tell you is that after service, our practitioners are here to pray with you. If there's something that you're having a little bit of difficulty seeing through or finding the spiritual truth in, that's what they're here for. They study for years and practice for years in being able to see the spiritual truth in the circumstances, no matter what they look like. So you can just walk up to one of the people wearing the teal or white stoles and ask them, and you'll find a quiet corner with you. And it's their gift to you on Sundays. It's a 1-minute miracle of spiritual truth. Sometimes that's all we need, is to hear the truth, and we're set free. So take advantage of that. And now it's time for some more music. A song by Cyndi Lauper called True Colors.
We light the first candle in honor of Buddhism. The 3 factors that seem to have the greatest influence on increasing our happiness are our ability to reframe our situation more positively, our ability to experience gratitude, and our choice to be kind and generous. We light the second candle to honor Christianity. God's dream is that you and I and all of us will realize that we are family, that we are made for togetherness, for the goodness, and for compassion. We light the third candle to honor South African spirituality. Ubuntu is the essence of being human. Ubuntu speaks particularly about the fact that you can't exist as a human being in isolation. It speaks about our interconnectedness. When you have this quality of Ubuntu, you are known for your generosity. We are connected, and what you do affects the whole world. When you do it well, it spreads out, for it is the whole of humanity. We light the fourth candle in honor of Islam. In the Islamic way of life, it is only by serving other human beings that we can truly connect to our Creator. We light the fifth candle to honor North American First Nations spirituality. The first piece, which is the most important, is that which comes within the souls of people when they realize their relationship, their oneness with the universe and all its powers, and when they realize at the center of the universe dwells the Great Spirit, and that its center is really everywhere. It is within each of us. This is the real peace. We light the sixth candle in honor of Sikhism. The true path to God lies in the service of our fellow beings. We light the final candle in honor of Hinduism. He alone sees truly who sees God the same in every creature. Seeing the same God everywhere, he does not harm himself, or others. Today's reading comes from Ernest Holmes. We will be helped over many a difficulty if we realize that an emotional bias does not create does create a mental blind spot. And again, if we come right back to the fundamental proposition that the problems we face are not external, they are within. They are not some other person's fault, neither are they necessarily our own fault. They are the fault of ignorance, from which enlightenment alone can free us. If you will, for a moment, go into the silence with me. And in this blessed moment, in this perfect moment of perfect love, I'm knowing that we are one. That the oneness and the presence of who we are one in the infinite. I'm knowing that this community of love comes together in this moment, and that this service is in perfect divine right order. I'm knowing that the words that Reverend Cece is inspired to speak are the words of the divine, words of God, words of the infinite, words of love, and that reach our hearts, that touch our souls, that speak to us deeply and intimately. I know that everyone here is blessed. I know that all of everyone, everything that we are doing as part of this service today is blessed. I'm knowing as we go forward into our lives that we are blessed, that this community is a blessing and that we are blessed. And I say thank you, and I let this go. So be it.
Before I go on with my talk today, we're going to spend a moment. Tuesday, November 20th, is the International Transgender Day of Remembrance. And so I want to take a moment to remember those people in our country who lost their lives at the hands of others because of who they are this year. And we do this because we stand on the side of love for everyone and for everything. And part of that means we stand in love for those who are forgotten, who are diminished, whose lives were cut short simply because of the way someone else perceived them, because they were living life in their true colors as their authentic selves. And so I want to read their names, and we'll follow with a moment of silence. And we do this to remember these precious lives, to say their names, and to send a message to everyone, including transgender people, that they belong and that they're welcome here. So these are the individuals from our country. Brooklyn Brianna Stevenson, Randy Seals, Zachariah Fry, Krista Lee Steele Nudeslin, Vicky Gutierrez, Celine Walker, Tanya Harvey, Felicia Mitchell, Amia Ture Berryman, Sasha Wall, Carla Patricia Flores Pavon, Nino Fortson, Gigi Pierce, Antasha Devine Sherrington English, Diamond Stevens, Catalina Christina James, Keisha Wells, Sasha Garden, Dejanay Stanton, Vontasia Bell, Shanti Tucker, London Moore, Clara Minaj Carter Fraser. So let's just take a moment and remember, send love. Thank you. What we just did is a big, shocking illustration of what we'll talk about today. Because those who did the violence had blind spots. Instead of understanding their own blind spots, they looked outside themselves for someone to blame, someone to make the other, to bear the responsibility for the pain in their own hearts and minds. They saw somebody who was different, who was not like them, and put the blame there. And in their ignorance, they chose hatred as a way to ease their pain. In their ignorance, they chose violence as a way to escape their own fear. In their ignorance, they made someone the other in order to escape their own sense of otherness. And that doesn't work. It never works. I think you can all feel that, right? It doesn't work because I think we all know it. We do it all the time in smaller ways, yes, but we all do it and it doesn't work. It doesn't fix the thing we're trying to fix. And making someone the other and then blaming them for what's going on in us simply makes the situation worse. It doesn't help. I think virtually every conflict, whether it's global or national or regional, is wrapped in or organized within the framework or some dimension of deciding that they are different than we are, whoever they are. Othering underlies our territorial disputes. It started, back when Homo sapiens first sort of branched off from Neanderthal and decided that they weren't like us, so we're going to have war with them. We're going to kill them because they're not like us. But it wraps up in territorial disputes and sectarian violence and military conflict and even in hunger and food insecurity and climate change. It's all because we other somebody else instead of looking within ourselves. And what makes it really complicated is that we're really complicated. It's not just one characteristic. We all have lots of roles. We have lots of places we live. We have a religious or spiritual identity. We have a political identity. We have a social identity. We have a racial identity, a gender identity, an ethnicity, and a history. And we can choose any one of those to make someone else other. They don't think like me. They don't vote like me. They don't look like me. Whatever it is. And we do enough of that and we just get worn out. We just get exhausted. We can have some people who are in our religious group but not in our political group, or in our political group but not in our gender identity group. We can have some who grew up like us and some who didn't. And pretty soon we don't know who's in and who's not. And what happens then is we wind up standing all alone. We wind up standing all alone, wondering who all these people around us are that are not like we are, right? And we learn this from our society. We're taught to do it. We're taught to do it from tiny children. And we're taught to make someone else who's different the other and then cast the blame for our difficulties out there. Anywhere out there, anywhere, just as long as it's not here, right? We're afraid to look in here. So, we can blame the Chinese for global warming and continue to live lives that are damaging to the environment. Or we can blame racial strife on the oppressed, those who are racially oppressed, so we don't have to look at our own white supremacy issues. We can blame Republicans if we're Democrats, or Democrats if we're Republican. We can blame the poor if we're rich, or the rich if we're poor. It doesn't work. It never works. And I think we can all sense that intuitively, because we do this all the time without even knowing it. When we other, and then we demonize the other for what's happening in us, it doesn't get any better. It just gets worse. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, says something really radical in today's reading. He says, we come right back to the fundamental proposition that the problems we face are not external. They're within. They're not some other person's fault. And that might make your hackles rise a little. Because how is it our fault that someone out there is making us the other? How can we expect things to change if it's that guy over there who's a bigot or the greedy one? And how can we expect things to change unless they change? And how can we expect to fix their problem as we perceive it? Well, there it is right there. Calling it their problem is the issue. We cannot fix someone else's problem, but we can fix our seeing. We can fix our sight about our problem. We can face our own mental blind spots. And I think you can see that it's our reaction, not our response, but our reaction that causes us pain. Someone says something, and I'm going to sneeze. Ooh. Come on.
Bless you.
I hate it when they get stuck like that, don't you? Oh, it's so annoying. All right. Well, let's start over here. We can realize it's our reaction. It's our reaction, not our response. Our reaction that causes us pain. When someone does something and we react to it with anger, with resentment, with whatever it is, we're the ones suffering, right? We're the ones suffering. When we can figure out the root of the reaction in us, then we're able to pause and respond from a higher place. Respond from our conscious self rather than from our hurts and our scars and our insecurities. When enough of us do that, everything changes. And it doesn't take all of us. It only takes a small percentage of people who start to respond instead of react from love rather than from pain. And when we do that, the culture changes. The world changes. And so where do we start? Well, Holmes goes on to say in today's reading that our blind spots are not necessarily our fault. They are the fault of ignorance, and it's enlightenment alone that can free us. And so we have to start by acknowledging the ignorance that we have about our own psyche. We have to start by acknowledging that, hey, maybe it's possible that I have blind spots too. Well, maybe you, but not me. No, I'm kidding. Isn't that what we do? I could see that person's blind spots, bless her heart. Guess what? Mirror. That's a mirror. And I hear myself do that all the time. We start by acknowledging the ignorance. We start with enlightenment, and that does not mean where we get a thunderbolt from the sky and everything's made clear and bright. It means we pick up a lamp and go within and take the lamp to the dark corners and shine it around and see what's there. That's what the enlightenment Ernest Holmes is talking about. Is that's what he means. It's realizing that when we think our problems lie outside, that's the very definition of error right there. Is that my problems lie outside. It begins with an intention to find the roots. And the roots in our own minds and hearts of what's troubling us. And the clues are pretty obvious. The clues are actually very obvious. Look for the big reactions, right? If we look for the big reactions we have in us. When I react to somebody, I grew up in a coal mining town where immigrants were the majority of the population. And so I have a different view than many people. And so when I react to someone who's blaming immigrants for our problems, for all of our problems, it's time for me to take the lamp and look in my own corner of biases. I have a whole little room for them. You know. It's not a place I like to visit. But as long as I deny that it exists, I don't get anywhere. I get no freedom from the pain. It's only when I take the lamp and walk in there and say, oh, I see, I have this bias and this bias and this bias, and shine the light, and then take a breath and respond instead of reacting, that I begin to feel free from pain and suffering. I have to look at my own biases against people who are not like me. All of them. I have to be willing to look at all of them. All the people, you know, I have to go to the place that feels insufficient and frightened and looks for someone, anyone out there, to pin that feeling on. I have to take the light there and shine it around and be willing to own that that's mine, not theirs. I have to, you know, when I react to somebody that I judge to be wrong, I have to look closely about my own beliefs. If I'm so insistent on reacting and judging them wrong, where am I insecure in my own beliefs? That I can't just let them have theirs and have mine, right? Because I'm insecure about mine. When I judge somebody to be an idiot driver, yeah, I have that one. You know, I have to stop and think, when am I less than a competent and polite driver? When was the last time that you know, when you see those left lane ends and half a mile signs, and when was the last time I was the one in the left lane zipping up to the far end and then trying to jam myself over so I'd be first? Yes, I've done that. It's a true confession. I try not to do it now, but every once in a while, you know. Where am I afraid? When I look at someone and think, ugh, how do I do that about myself? When I judge another for being unloving, where am I unloving? Those big reactions are always, for me, a signal to get the lamp out and go into the dark corners and look around, see what's there. When I have negative thoughts about any others, when any of us have negative thoughts about others, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to look inside, to take the lamp, to look in the dark places, to see what we're avoiding, to see where we're judging ourselves, to see where we feel insufficient. Because the problem we're having never lies out there, it's always in here. And all we have to do, provided we can remember, is take a big deep breath and then let it out. And then say, how do I wish to respond? You know, first we have to ask, where does this live in me? And then we have to take a big deep breath and say, how do I wish to respond? Because here's the thing. We're here to live in love, right? We're here to touch the beauty of life. We're here to be who we really are. We're here to show our true colors, loud and proud and bold. We're here to be the love of spirit in form. If we're here to do that, and we're here to bring heaven to earth, then we have to stop looking out there for the causes of our difficulties. We have to stop othering each other. We have to stop thinking that if only those people would toe the line and behave differently, our lives would be better, because it's just not so. It's just not so. If we want to be happy, if we want to be fulfilled, if we want to be full and free in the way we live our lives, we have to stop looking out there for an other to blame. Because we experience in life what we are. We receive in life what we are. We're all part of the oneness, right? We all belong to this one life, and so when we do something to someone else, we're actually doing it to ourselves. So if we're othering and making other people the problem, guess what? They will other us, and we will be the source of their problem. If we fail to take responsibility for our own reactions, we will never be able to respond to life from our own fullness instead of reacting from our own fear and pain. If we fail to expand our circle of belonging, we will never belong. And this is one of our biggest mental blind spots, I think. Part of our minds just wants to blame somebody, anybody out there. Someone, please take the blame for me, right? Because the alternative is to take responsibility for ourselves, and we don't want to do that because it seems easier to blame them. But it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It destroys us, it destroys them, it destroys the planet. It's only when we can bring the light, look at the stuff, look in the corners, be clear about it, and we respond from the love that we're here to be, that things out there will change. It just takes a few of us. It just takes a few of us. And then things out there start to reform themselves according to the laws of love. It's each time we do that, we shift things a little bit. And the next time we do it, we shift things a little bit more. And when, I don't know, you've been around people like this who come completely from love. We just mourned one Thursday night. Her name was Etika Luckett, and she was a musician. She was an angel. She was an imp. She was a divine imp. That's what she was. And she died a couple of weeks ago, and Thursday night was her memorial service. And I heard all the stories, and the stories were the same as my story. And that is that every time I spent any time with her, she took a little gift of love out of her own heart and she put it right into mine. With a word or a look or a touch or a song. She never, ever, ever looked at someone else and saw another. And she never looked at anyone without first putting the lenses of love into her own eyes. She was remarkable. She was living what she believed. And she will always be my hero because she did it better than anybody I know. And so losing the gift of her presence is sad. But as her wife pointed out to us, I feel now like I'm being hugged from the inside by Etika. And as long as I can remember that and let her hug me from the inside and give me strength when what I want to do is say, oh, you're doing it to me again. Instead to take a breath and say, ooh, where am I in all this? And how do I respond from a heart of love instead of from pain? I think it's time we each get to work on that. I think this is the challenge of our time, is to take the lamp into the inner darkness and look around and look for the blind spots and find out what's there and own it, not with shame and not with blame, because as Ernest Holmes says, it's not our fault, but it is our responsibility to change it into something more loving. It's our responsibility to change our own thinking and our own belief and our own presence into what we want to see in the world. Once we understand that, then it becomes easy. Because we just let ourselves be guided by that presence of love that is already there within each one of us. You know, we watch ourselves for an angry reaction or a negative reaction or an oh poor me reaction and take a breath. And when the breath is exhaled, we say, how do I want to respond in this moment? How do I want to be the presence of love here? And we see those things not as things to beat ourselves up for, like, oh, I'm doing it again. Simply as a clue as to what still lies in the dark corners of our minds. You know, last week I told you all a creation story from the Anishinaabe indigenous people of Canada. And there's a line at the end of the story that is so meaningful to me. I want to share it again. God is speaking to humans after all is created. And Gitche Manitou told the humans, I have given you everything you will ever need. The road is long. Life is long enough to experience the beauty of this world. I have given you everything you'll ever need. Because what we are given is the ability to look within, to take the lamp, to stop, to breathe, to say, how can I respond in this moment? How can I be the presence of love? How can I remember that the source of love created me from the source of love, and that therefore I am the source of love in this world, in my life. I'm the expression of love. How can we do that? Everything we'll ever need has nothing to do with what's out there, and everything to do with what's in here. So when we remember that, we do walk through life touching the beauty. We know we're part of the beauty. We know our true colors make up the rainbow of this universe. We experience the belonging, and we know everything belongs, everyone belongs. Because when we feel the worth and the worthiness of our lives, then we know ourselves and everyone else to be priceless. And so let's take a breath and pray together. And in this moment I realize and remember that which holds the universe together is love. That which created the universe is love. That the bonds that hold the molecules of my body together, the bond is love. That which passes between me and a seeming other human being is love. That what I feel when I turn within is love. And that if I do that before I turn without, what I feel out there is love as well. What I know is that I am made from the source of love, by the source of love. That my truth is love. And I know that is the truth of each person who is here. There is not one among us who is not made from and by and through that same source of love. We are all one in this universe, the primary characteristic of which is love. And so what I know is that each one of us courageously picks up the lamp, searches out our own spots of not seeing, our own valleys of ignorance and our own pits of despair, and shines the light into them and sees there the truth that we are priceless, that the Creator, that which is the love of the universe, delights in us, and that the same is true of everyone around us. Of all creation, it is all something that the Creator pours love out on and delights in its being. And so I know that when we feel afraid or insufficient or angry or upset, we take that lamp, we find the truth of ourselves, and we respond from love, as love. To every situation we meet during the day, we bring more and more and more love. Whenever we find ourselves pinned down by negative emotions, we simply let the source of love rise up within us, pouring out the balm of truth, the truth that love is. And then we simply act in the world from that love. We move in the world and speak in the world from that love, so that the balm that arises within the center of our being is poured out over all we meet. And because of that, the world changes. Because of that, love grows. Because of this most powerful force in the universe, the light spreads. And knowing this to be the truth about us, I say thank you, thank you. I am so deeply grateful for this opportunity to come together, to feel the love that holds us together as one. And in deep gratitude, I just let it all go. I know that that source of love blesses us now and always. And so we simply say together, and so it is.
am just a thread, a simple thread in this glorious web of life. We are all just drops within a stream, flowing towards an ocean of light. We may forget where we come from. We may forget where we're going to. I might not see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. And just a seed, a blessed seed with eternity unfolding in me. And I pray that as I grow, I will reveal the love that illuminates my soul. When I remember where I come from, when I remember where I'm going to, then I will see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one.
Ooh, amen. And we now have an opportunity to contribute, to share of our own good in support of this community of love so that we become even more of a place of love, a place where we can transform anything that is unlike love into that most powerful force in the universe. And so as we give, let's simply take our gifts in our hands or our hearts if we're giving electronically and know together. I know the activity of abundance in my life and in this center. I give and receive generously from this everlasting flow of good. And so it is. All good music today. Good.
You said true colors right when you talk.
Well, that's because you sang it. And it fit perfectly. What do you know? Seems to always happen. Kenny and I are on a little wavelength together. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So thank you. Thank you to everybody who's here. Thank you to our ushers and greeters, our welcome team, the practitioners, the band, as always. Love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. So let's stand for our closing affirmation and our closing song. What is our closing song now?
It's We Are One.
Oh, We Are One. I thought it was One Love, but that was at the beginning. Oh,
We got one eye. What can I tell you?
Oh, One-Eyed Kenny is messing with the music again.
Arr, one-eyed Kenny.
But let's note together. Today, I courageously look within to find the truth.
I courageously look within and find the truth.
The truth sets me free.
The truth sets me free.
I live fully,
I live fully,
freely,
freely,
joyfully,
joyfully,
in love,
in love,
from love,
from love,
and so it is.
and so it is.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.